Now this is the Nike Vomero Plus and this is the Nike Vomero 18. And despite what it looks like, there's a bigger midsole on the Vomero 18 than on the Vomero Plus. I'm going to break down the reasons why that is, why they feel completely different underfoot, and what's their best use cases, whether you want to use them as a lifestyle shoe or for running. So first of all, let's look at the midsoles. Now we've got complete ZoomX midsole across the whole back to front of the shoe in the Vomero Plus. It looks like it's enormous underfoot, but it doesn't feel as squishy as you might imagine. Whereas in the Vomero 18, we have a mix of the ZoomX on top, and then we have the ReactX midsole underneath on the bottom of the midsole. And that gives a completely different feel underfoot, despite having 44 mils in the rear foot, 34 in the forefoot, giving you a 10 mil drop. We've got a similar 10 mil drop in the Vomero Plus, with 43 in the rear foot and 33 in the forefoot. So if we look at the Vomero 18 a little bit closer, there's a few reasons why they feel different when you initiate contact with the ground compared to the Vomero Plus. First of all, we've got a crash pad on the heel in the Vomero 18 that's not present on the Vomero Plus. So when you initiate contact with the ground, you sink into this crash pad, and therefore it makes it feel a little bit more stable underfoot. Now the ZoomX foam is the softer foam compared to the ReactX foam. We've got more of that on the Vomero Plus, therefore it feels a little bit bouncier, a little bit softer underfoot when you initiate contact with the ground. And we've got really large sidewalls on the Vomero Plus. You can see how they come up here on the inside, on the outside and on the inside of the heel. So therefore it makes it look like it's got a much larger midsole as well compared to what we see on the Vomero 18, even though it has that extra mil in the midsole. So we do have some sidewalls on the outside and the inside, they're just not as prominent. Now sidewalls are a key feature in trying to provide stability, and therefore when we have lots of soft cushioning in a shoe, typically we see very large sidewalls, like we see in the Vomero Plus. They come up, cradle the ankle and the heel, try to add extra elements of stability when you initiate contact with the ground. It's also coupled up with a moderately stiff heel counter, again wrapping around the back of the ankle, trying to help control those pronation moments when you initiate contact with the ground. So that helps to explain why they look slightly different, mainly got to do with the sidewalls, and they feel different when you initiate contact with the ground because of the crash pad and the difference in the two types of foams. So the ReactX foam being a little bit firmer adds an extra little bit of stability to the shoe, where we've got a lot more bounce and a lot more cloud-like sensation in the ZoomX on the Vomero Plus. Now don't get me wrong, it's not soft and mushy, which is great, so it's not like we saw in the New Balance 1080 V13. It has a nice balance to it, but it's definitely softer than what we feel in the Vomero 18. Now as we move along the shoe, we've got a much more aggressive geometry on the Vomero 18 than the Vomero Plus, slightly better heel bevel and a bit more aggressive forefoot rocker, and that just means it transitions nicely from the back to the front of the shoe, whether you're walking or whether you're running. In contrast to that, with the Vomero Plus, I felt it was a little bit clunky getting from the back to the front, so you just don't transition as quickly. Also, because it's a little bit slower to transition, you definitely notice a 10 mil drop a little bit more than you notice in the Vomero 18. So that feels a bit more like a 6 to 8 mil drop. This feels more like an 8 to 10 mil drop, and for me, you could definitely feel that drop down when you're standing and when you're running in it. So a slightly different feel overall from the back to the front of the shoe as well. And then on top, we've got slightly different fits as well. So while they have a relatively raised tapered fit on top, comes around and wraps around the toes, they have enough space in the toe box for the normal fit. But at the moment, the Vomero Plus isn't available in the wide, whereas the Vomero 18 is. It has a slightly more plush upper, but it's quite breathable in the Vomero 18, and a bit more of a single engineered mesh on top of the Vomero Plus. We've got padded tongues on both, plenty of padding around the heel counter, and a nice pull-on tab on both shoes. Both have waffle outsoles underneath, just with a slightly different pattern on them. We've yet to see the durability on them. We've got about 40k in both shoes, so we'll let you know once we have more wear on them, which has the better durability overall. So when we come to lifestyle shoes, they can be used for standing and for walking for long periods of time. I think the geometry of the Vomero 18 makes it a little bit smoother day to day. However, if you want a really comfortable shoe for standing for long periods of time, if you want to help offload your Achilles, then the more prominently felt 10 mil drop in the Vomero Plus may be a benefit to you. Just be aware that we're having a 10 mil drop places extra pressure on the forefoot when you're standing for long periods of time. For those of you who have sensitivity there, you may not enjoy it. When it comes to running, well, they feel different and they perform different as well. So the Vomero Plus can be used for those easy runs, those longer runs. but it does feel a little bit more unstable because of all the ZoomX cushioning in it than what we see in the Vomero 18. So those of you with historic issues of ankle instability, so rolling your ankle or posterior tibial tendonitis, you may not enjoy this as much, whereas we definitely have a bit more stable of a feel in the Vomero 18. So it's a bit more of a neutral to neutral stable. This is a classic neutral only. So then when it comes to more performance based running, surprisingly the Vomero 18 is a little bit heavier, coming in at 298 grams versus 281 grams in the Vomero Plus in a size 9 men's US. However, it has a bit more of an aggressive geometry and the big splendid midsole, which makes it a bit better of a shoe for being a max cushion shoe for doing some up-tempo work. Kind of challenges the Asics Gel Nimbus 27 a little bit more, whereas the Vomero Plus is very much a max cushion shoe. I think it sits in a bit more with the Brooks Glycerin Max in terms of providing pure comfort and lots of softness underfoot. It's relatively bouncy, not mushy, but still more for those easy or longer runs. The Vomero 18 can cover both of those but do some up-tempo workouts as well. However, if you've got any opinions on them, drop them in the comment section below.